This is CBC Windsor News. I'm Chris Hensing. Meg is away tonight. Here's what we have for you. Windsor remembers a passionate labor leader. We have a full look at Gary Parent and his impact on Windsor. Plus, pro-Palestinian protesters bring the demands inside campus hallways. We hear what they're asking on a second day of protests here in Windsor. And we head into the weekend with some heat. A look at a hot sauce festival that takes place tomorrow. CBC News has learned that an Essex high school teacher and a University of Windsor professor are among those charged in a recent underage prostitution sting by Windsor police. Police say that the men tried to meet someone they believe to be a 16-year-old girl offering sex for money. The girl was actually an undercover officer posing online. Today, the Ontario College of Teachers said it is aware of a charge against James Purnell, a teacher at Essex District High School. The 46-year-old has been a registered educator since 2004. The public school's website says that he has taught students with developmental disabilities and has also coached wrestling. The board would not comment about Purnell's employment and if he's currently teaching. Police announced the charge this week. The University of Windsor says it's aware of a charge against Jinwen Yang. He's a 61-year-old professor at the Department of Earth Sciences. Yang achieved his doctorate in Toronto in 1997, specializing in geophysics. The University of Windsor said Yang has been put on leave as an interim measure. Purnell, Yang, and two other men arrested in the sting each face a charge of obtaining sexual services from a person under the age of 18. A pro-Palestinian group continues to protest at the University of Windsor, pushing for the institution to recognize and respond to their call for action. CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa reports.
It's the second day of a pro-Palestinian protest here at the University of Windsor. These students have been here since yesterday. They didn't stay overnight, but they came back to campus again this morning. They were just inside of the building right beside me. That's the Toldo Health Education building. They were loudly protesting as there was a Senate meeting going on. Today, the group was asking that the university adopt an academic and cultural boycott of Israeli institutions involved in the war, protect and defend the free speech of students on campus who talk about this issue, stop admissions of Canadian and foreign nationals who joined the Israeli Defense Forces as of October 2023, and establish a program to support Palestinian students and scholars. The University of Windsor didn't respond to an interview request today. In an email, a spokesperson said the school has signed on to the United Nations Principles for Responsible Investment, which pledges to integrate environmental, social, and corporate governance issues into its investment strategies. There's still a liberation zone that's set up in the heart of campus. The students don't know if they're going to be staying here over the weekend, but say that they want the university to respond to them. Jennifer LaGrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
Windsor has lost a giant in the labor movement and the community. Longtime labor leader Gary Parent has died. The CBC's Dale Molnar now with a look at his life and his legacy.
Gary Parent is being remembered today by the Unifor Union as the man who whispers loudly. Although they say he was soft-spoken, gentle, and loving, when it came to his passion for labor and social issues, he made his voice heard.
And Mayor Francis, go to hell!
Probably the word hell wasn't the proper word.
According to Unifor Local 444, Parent started work at Chrysler at age 18 in 1965 and was elected as a steward in 1967. In 1982, he became president of the Windsor and District Labor Council, and in 1987, he was elected financial secretary of Local 444. He served in that position till his retirement in 2009. After that, he served on the Retired Workers' Council Executive since 2016.
So Gary Parent served our membership for almost 60 years in an elected capacity and won his elections overwhelmingly because of the respect and the kind of appreciation people had of his work ethic, which was incredible.
He was a role model for all of us, and he really told us that our job is to take care of our members, but our job is for unions to be really active in the community.
The list of accomplishments and awards are too long to mention, but Parent served on numerous boards, such as the United Way, and fought for numerous causes in the community. Accolades have been pouring in today from MPP Lisa Gretzky. Gary's belief that public services should be strengthened for the betterment of everyone never wavered, and his contributions to our community are why we have the Gary Parent Labor Activist Awards every year. Unifor Local 444 posted a lengthy tribute on its Facebook page that read in part, Gary gave a voice to social issues and was often described as the voice of reason in labor disputes. Gary worked hard for his local community and the community that he loved. And Unifor President Lana Payne wrote on the union webpage, Gary Parent exemplified the kind of leader and trade unionist we all aspire to be. He was relentless in his pursuit of economic and social justice for workers, and he knew a strong union meant being a social and community union. And the current president of the Windsor and District Labor Council says today we lost a giant.
He stood up for the disadvantaged, the poor, the working class. He was a champion of public services. And he had an impact, not just on individuals, but on the community.
Well, activism really in our community is beyond the four walls of a workplace. And it means that people go out of their way, do a tremendous lot of work in trying to attain a better community for everybody, not just labor people.
Parent was in palliative care this week suffering from an illness. He was 77 years old. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Unifor has announced that James Stewart is the new president of Local 444. That's following an election that took place May 8th and 9th. He replaces Dave Cassidy, who announced his retirement last month after 6 years in the position. Stewart was previously Secretary-Treasurer of the local's executive board. The union's members include workers at Stellantis Windsor's assembly plant and feeder facilities, as well as Caesars Windsor. Ontario is reviewing a Sarnia plastic plant's response to its recent shutdown order. INEO Styrolution has been ordered to reduce benzene emissions after people in neighboring Aamjiwnaang First Nation were treated in hospital for exposure. That review comes as a bill aimed at addressing environmental racism enters a key step ahead of becoming a law. The bill is now in the third reading in the Senate. Green Party MP Elizabeth May brought that bill forward 2 years ago. May says a key part of its creation was a tour of Aamjiwnaang, where she was shown its proximity to nearby refineries and petrochemical companies. She tells me that this is a key moment for Canada, saying that it can learn from what's been passed in the United States. Here's a piece of our conversation. Can you explain to us what environmental racism is, what environmental justice is?
Environmental racism is the disproportionate impact on Indigenous people, racialized people, marginalized people, and communities of environmental harms that particularly also impact human health negatively. So toxic waste dumps, pollution of all kinds, living close to a factory. Basically, you ask yourself the question, would anyone be able to get away with this in South End, Halifax, or Rockcliffe Park or Rosedale? So it's also intersected with wealth and political power. But environmental racism is where the impact of pollution and of decision-making around resources disproportionately and negatively impacts marginalized communities.
Can you give us an understanding of, if this becomes law, how that might change things for people like those who are living in Aamjiwnaang First Nation?
I hope it will make a really large difference, but bear in mind the impact of the law, assuming we get it all the way across the finish line and it gets royal assent. As law, it requires the federal government to develop a strategy to promote environmental justice. My hope is that our government will look at experience elsewhere, particularly what the United States Environmental Protection Agency has been doing since 1994. In other words, this is not a new problem. Canada is slow to catch up with recognizing it's a problem, but the work that's been done and the experiences gained over the decades since 1994, when the US EPA developed a program for environmental justice to confront environmental racism, is all about leveling the playing field so that communities that are being disproportionately impacted have access to resources like their own experts, their own lawyers, their own epidemiologists, their own toxicologists, to confront industries that generally have very deep pockets and fight back.
Colleges and universities in Ontario are recruiting far more international students for business programs compared to more in-demand areas, such as healthcare and skilled trades. That's according to a CBC News investigation that we told you about last night. Workforce Windsor Essex says it may be difficult for an international student to complete an apprenticeship if they aren't allowed to work in Canada.
Have to be a practicing apprentice, so someone who's registered to work in that trade. But in order to do that, you have to be hired by a company, and then you need to register after being hired. So it would be really difficult for someone to come here on a school visa and then enroll in a trade because they have to be hired. And so they, especially if there's limits on the number of hours they can do, that would make, pursuing those trades even longer and more laborious.
If you are looking to spice things up this weekend, Windsor will be hosting a hot sauce festival. It's the second year that Halo Heat has organized this event. You can test some of the best sauce in Ontario Saturday afternoon downtown. The CBC's Meg Roberts braves the heat.
So you're in your second year. You've done this once already. How did last year go? What was the feedback?
It was so good that we're doing it again. So all of the hot sauce vendors that came, they couldn't believe kind of the turnout that we had for the event. They were so excited that they came to Windsor and that Windsor showed up, and the amount of people that we had attend for a first year festival, they were really blown away by it, and a lot of them asked us to run the festival again.
What is it about hot sauce that so many people want to come out and try?
It's one of those things like craft beer. So if you're into craft beer, you don't just want to try one craft beer, you want to try every craft beer you can, right? Or if you're into wine, you want to try wine from all the wineries. No, so hot sauce definitely is having a moment. 10, 15 years ago, you never heard of a hot sauce show or a hot sauce expo, and you maybe knew of a small brand hot sauce, but now, again, we have them across the province. People are traveling down to come to this event specifically.
We're here to try some hot sauce today.
We're here with the Halo Heats, which is on we say it's a 3 out of 5. Okay. It's more mild in the hot sauce world. So let's get a little dippy doodle here for you.
All right.
Beautiful. So when you taste it, you're gonna want to pull it off and just roll it,
Really?
Roll it on your tongue.
Did you just make that up, or is that real?
Oh, that's what I do.
Okay.
But some people they go like that, and then it goes down your throat, you start choking. So it's like...
You can put this on barbecue, seafood.
Yeah.
Like every single one you're gonna try has a different application, different food.
Yeah, I can smell it already. Cheers. Ooh. I like that. That is nice.
You might like one day, and the next day you're gonna like a different sauce. Depends on the season. If it's a cold winter, you're gonna heat up, get something hot. So.
I can't keep the water in my mouth. My nose is running.
Hurtberry.
Hurtberry.
Hurtberry, yeah. Fresh peach mojito inspired hot sauce.
Anything that says hurtberry, I feel like you should generally stay away from.
Yeah.
This one kind of looks very innocent, like salsa almost.
They all do. The last one. Wow.
I'm breathing fire. Definitely the back of my throat here.
Yeah. But you feel great.
I feel amazing.
You feel alive?
I feel like I can go host a show.
I also feel like
all right, let's do one more round.
Colette, she could not host the show. No. She's okay.
Is that what happened?
No. This day has been planned in advance. At least I knew I was hosting. I don't know if she booked it off because she knew she was going to feel the heat, but we can say that Meg is doing fine. We go from some hot stuff, some cool skies I think we got in store here.
Yeah, some hot stuff coming from the sun headed into our Earth's atmosphere, which gives us a chance at seeing the northern lights a little further south than what we normally see. Just a really quick recap here when we're talking about the northern lights, the aurora borealis, and those particles that come from the sun, we'll call it a solar wind, but essentially they're colliding with the upper atmosphere, that outer atmosphere of the Earth, the thermosphere, and we usually see this closer to the magnetic poles because it's a magnetic interaction. Really, there are a lot of these plasma ejections that have been coming our way, and it is because of this that there is actually from NOAA a forecast here with the chance of seeing quite a dramatic display of the northern lights, but not only that, that it's coming further south than it might normally. And this is for tonight, tomorrow night as well, but we'll probably have a better chance at seeing this into tonight. Now you can see the best chance is the areas in red here. So that extends through southern BC, all across the southern plains into northern Ontario. But even in these areas where we get into the greens, there's still a decent likelihood of seeing the northern lights, and that extends past southern Ontario, and in fact the view line goes into the belly of the U.S. So quite if we can get rid of the clouds, and we can, quite a good chance at this. I personally have never seen them, so I'm a little bit excited. The best viewing, though, does come a little bit later. We still have a little bit of that cloud cover that we're dealing with. The showers, they're isolated, but they are off to the east of us. And then this is the next playmaker coming in. But the timing with this is looking pretty good, that we should have a nice window from about 11 till, say, about 2 or 3 a.m. before that next band of showers comes through. So yes, that is 11 tonight till about 3 a.m. So have some coffee along with your hot sauce there to keep you going. Once that does roll through, we'll get some breaks into Saturday afternoon, and then there's some wraparound coming. So still some scattered showers, but that's Saturday. And then we get more clearing going on as we head into Mother's Day. The beginning of Mother's Day looking great. It's not till later in the afternoon we'll get increasing cloudiness and some isolated showers coming back in. Current temperatures, we're still holding on in the upper teens. The winds are relatively light. As far as the rainfall, there's a few thunderstorm possibilities in there tomorrow. So in those areas, it could be 10 to 15. Otherwise, it's going to be more like 5 millimeters. And there you go, our overnight temperatures. It will start to pick up as that cloud cover moves in. 16 for tomorrow. And Chris, how about 20 for Mom on Mother's Day?
Not bad at all. I would also like to say that the Northern Lights are from all of us as well. That was part of the gift for Mother's Day this weekend. You know, we did what we could.
Mothers deserve it, right?
I'm trying to make the world shine. That's all that is. Thanks, Ms. Claire. Have a good weekend, eh?
Yep, you too.
Stick with us. Josiah is going to join us with Week's End. It is Nurses Week, so we are going to take a moment and think of those who are always out there helping others. That's right. It is Week's End with Josiah Cinnamon. He joins us here now for this segment. We're talking about nurses. It's National Nurses Week. You've met some pretty fascinating people. What can you tell us today?
Yeah, so Chris, today we're talking about the Lois Fairley Nurses Award, and this is a annual tradition across Essex County. Nurses are nominated by their coworkers without knowing, and then those nominations are reviewed by the Fairley family and the Windsor branch of the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario. So like I said, it's an annual tradition. This is the 17th year, and this year was the very first time a long-term care home nurse won the award. The nurse honored this year is Anna Dudock, and they had a great ceremony for her at Huron Lodge on Monday. She had no idea she was getting this award, Chris. Lots of old colleagues and residents came out, and they made a big deal of it. And I'll tell you a couple things about Anna. She's been working at Huron Lodge in Windsor for over 30 years, and she's a float worker. So that means every shift she visits every floor, and she knows every single resident. So that's a lot of people to keep track of. And Chris, she told me that long-term care has changed a lot from when they started. Now they're doing a lot more palliative care and more complex cases that used to be done in a hospice or a hospital setting. And I met her coworkers, and a resident earlier this week. Here's what Anna had to say.
I have to tell you, it was a shock when I found out, when my director of care called me to the office. A big shock, but also an honor. And, you know, I really was humbled by that. Growing up, my dad used to say, always treat others the way you would want them to treat you. So, you know, one of these days, we never know, we might end up in a long-term care facility. So how would I want somebody to care for me? So I always tried to keep that in mind.
That's such an interesting way to approach that. How would I treat others if they were to treat me? What else did you learn about Anna?
Yeah, so Chris, it was pretty evident how impactful she is for both her patients and her staff. And even while I was talking with her, people were walking by and getting emotional, started crying, telling me how great she was. And she told me that what keeps her going is that idea that everyone she works with and the residents she helps are like a second family. So pretty undeniable, she's a great nurse in our community. And Chris, I'll leave this with you so you don't have to take it from me. We have some kind words from 4 of Anna's coworkers.
Anna Dudock is the heart of Huron Lodge. She is our rock. And she completes our team. She is the most doting, caring, wonderful RN we have on staff.
She takes care of these residents like no one I've ever seen. She is just an amazing person.
I've had the absolute pleasure to work with Anna Dudock for the last 34 years of my career. She gives 110% every single day. Anyone she passes throughout the day is elated with her presence.
So Chris, if that story touched your heart, you can hear my full visit, including a chat with one of Anna's residents on the CBC Listen app. Just search for Afternoon Drive, and happy National Nurses Week. Definitely spread the love if there's a nurse you know of in your own life. And if you're a nurse, thank you for all you do.
Yes, thanks for this, Josiah. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And you'll want to stick around. Coming up, we take you to a one-person poetry show ahead of Mother's Day. A Windsor woman has put together a full one-person poetry show about being a mom of two, and it debuts tonight ahead of Mother's Day weekend. Jill Moisiak-Smith will take center stage with a show titled Mom's Night with Mom Said Duck. The sold-out show is tonight at the Cortisone Theatre on Seminole Street in Windsor. She came on Windsor Morning today to share her story and one of her poems.
If you've ever typed the F word into a text message and it autocorrects to duck, that's where the name comes from. Oh. It was kind of like over the course of about a month or so, I was like, I was writing these poems that I kind of didn't even know I had inside of me. And after about 10 or 15 poems, I kind of looked back and realized they were all about motherhood and most of them were funny. And so I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? And so again, I kind of was reading them to anybody who would listen, and especially my husband. And so, at one point or another, he said to me, why don't you think about pursuing these mom poems? So then it turns out that nobody hires a funny mom poet. It's not a thing. And so I'm like, okay, I kind of realize I have to sort of create this life for myself. And so this one's called I Lie Sometimes. Sometimes I lie to get through the day. Often I tell you there's no other way. I lie to my kids about whose snack is bigger. I tell them it's equal. If not, then I trigger. A dang fight about how her portion's way smaller. Like I give a damn duck, please cut out the holler. I lie to them too about what's in their food. I may say that it's noodles when it's really tofu. I lie about bedtime, 'cause why the duck not? Are we there yet? Yep, almost, when really we're not. It's a lie when I threaten that they won't go see their grandma and grandpa if they disobey me. That one right there is the tallest lie of all. My rents are my weekend warriors, and Mama needs a trip to the mall. There is only one thing about which I don't lie, and that's that I love them from here to the sky.
That's cute. I love the way that ends. You can listen to the full Windsor Morning interview on our website, and that's where you'll hear Jill explain the long and unexpected journey for how she started writing these funny mom poems. Just search for Windsor Morning on Demand. A South Korean company is a world record holder when it comes to light shows using drones. They fly these drones to form massive aerial shapes of pretty much anything. Here's them showing off why they hold that world record. It's one of the events where they throw those drones around. Wow, look at that face, the mask there. This is beautiful. The butterflies you got there as well. All of this done by this company. Earlier the month, they broke that record. They're using 5,300 drones at a single event. You can see that right there, how beautiful this all is. That is it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful weekend.